Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Mid-Atlantic Mauling League's Chaos Cup. We're in week number 4, and we've got not one, not two, but 3 games tonight in a triple header. And we're going to get started with a very interesting matchup, I think. It's going to be the Goodest boys Stike back versus As Bad as Raiders, Old Gamer Mike versus Electrics Man, Necro versus Undead. A very, very interesting matchup. We'll talk about it in just a second. But first, let's take a look at the standings here in week 4, shall we? Old Gamer Mike with the sub. Thank you very, very much for your generosity. I appreciate it. Thanks for participating in the league. Thanks for the sub. And thanks for hanging out. I really, really do appreciate it. I love this game. I love sharing this game, and your generosity helps a great deal. So thank you. We are here in Division, or we're not in Division A tonight, but in Division A. That's right. Doug the Minotaur, welcome to the stream. Play Blood Bowl. This game's great. In Division A, currently in first place is Ajax and the Fishy Fiends, a Chaos Renegades team. 3-1-0 is their record. In second place, very, very closely behind, hot on their heels, is BB Nuts Believe Broncos. They're a Nurgle team. Also 3-1-0. They're behind by just a single touchdown. In third place, Galeshi's the Birds of a Feather, an Elven Union team. 1-2-0 is their record. In Division B, currently in first place, Aspire's Philosopher's Song. I believe they're playing a little later tonight. They're a Lizardman team. 1-2-0 is their record. S Beavers, Wooden Men, and Iron Trees in second place. They're a Wood Elf team. 1-2-0 is their record. And tied for third place are Cobblestorm's Gunner Gets, a Goblin team. 1-1-0. And my team, the Technobabble Inc., a human team. Also 1-1-0. We are playing this week as well. I'm going for the top, baby. And in Division C, we have Clyphis' Odin and Snuffle. They're a Norse team currently in first place with a record of 3-0-0. And they are followed by Doug the Minotaur's Dinner Bell Darlings, a Dwarven team. And wouldn't you know it, also 3-0-0. They're behind by a couple of touchdowns. In third place are Kills Entanglements. They're an Imperial Nobility team. 2-0-1 is their record. The Goodest boys Strike Back and As Bad as Raiders are facing off tonight in the first game of this triple header, both looking for the first win in this competition. We'll take a look at the home team first this evening. The Goodest boys Stike back coming in a 12-player roster and a TV of 1,110,000 gold. They have the Werewolf, the number 1 player here, the Werewolf, 2 of the Flesh Golems, 2 Wraiths, a single Ghoul Runner, and a bunch of Zombos. They have 4 dedicated fans and 3 rerolls. They're going to be up against an Undead team. There's nobody alive on the pitch tonight. This Undead team, As Bad as Raiders, also 12 players on the roster. They come in at a TV of 1,070,000 gold. That's 40,000 gold in petty cash that will be going back to the to this team, the Undead team, in the inducement phase. Not a whole lot they can do with that, but they'll pick up maybe some coaches. 2 mummies, a Ghoul Runner, 2 blitzers, a couple of Skelly Men, and they have 2 Ghoul Runners, 2 blitzers, a couple of Skelly Men, and a bunch of Zombos, 2 dedicated fans, 3 rerolls. Festoon, welcome to the stream. How are these 2 teams going to play? Let's take a look at the home team first. The Necro team. No, you know what? Let's take a look at the away team first. Let's look at the Undead team. So this Undead team, the bashier of the 2 teams, I think, in this matchup. Those 2 mummies have Mighty Blow, Strength of 5. They'll be getting those 3 die blocks and reducing everybody's AV by 1. And if they don't need it on that armor break, they're going to use that +1 on the injury roll instead. Picked up the guard skill on Max, and that's what you do, right? You have these 2 mummies next to each other. Now Diablo's rolling 6, rolling with a strength of 6, almost guaranteeing that 3 die block. So these 2 mummies are going to be a nightmare for the opposing team, I think, tonight. 2 Ghoul Runners on this roster. These are the fast players on the roster with an MA of 7. They are also the most frail pieces on the roster. They have an AV of 8+, and they're the only pieces on the roster who don't have regen. So if they take a casualty, that's it. You can't rise from the dead when you're a ghoul. Everybody knows that. Two of the white blitzers, of course, have the block. So did random into Dirty Player on a skeleton. I don't think there's a better skill you could random into on a skeleton. So these skeletons are like zombies, except they gain a point of AV and gain a point of MA and lose a point of AV. They also have thick skulls. But now number 7, also the Fowler, has a +1 to their foul rolls. Oh boy, that's going to be something to watch out for. Also randomed into strip ball and dig a hole. I'm not sure how useful that's going to be. Maybe Electric's Man can get some use out of it. The problem with the zombies, of course, is they're really slow. They only have a strength of 3 as well. But perhaps there's a zombie in place that can leverage strip ball against the ball carrier. Those 2 ghoul runners are the pieces to watch out for in terms of offense. Those are going to be almost certainly be the ball carriers, but the blitzers are great ball carriers as well. They have the block skill that makes them a little more resilient. The mummies are just going to be trying to murder players, control center pitch, and try to get that player advantage. The zombies, of course, are there to take blocks when necessary. Otherwise, they're there to eat blocks. The skeletons are a little fragile. They might be a target as well as the ghoul runners for this Necro team. The problem is the Necro team is the least, the lesser bashy team in this matchup, in my opinion. They do have the 2 flesh golems. They don't have Mighty Blow. They only have a strength of 4, but they do have Stand Firm, so they have a control skill instead. The 2 wraiths are mighty obnoxious. They have block, they have foul appearance, they also have sidestep. Tessum, the number 5 wraith, has picked up Mighty Blow as well, so that's a +1 to Tessum's armor or injury roll, and you can bet that those wraiths will be blitzing all the time. Just has the one werewolf, just has the ghoul runner. We've talked about this earlier in the competition. These are the only 2 real ball carriers on this roster. The zombies are too slow, the flesh golems are too slow, the wraiths just don't have hands. So these are going to be targets for this undead team tonight, and that means Old Gamer Mike needs to keep them protected, but still needs to use them. That's the trick with this, especially at low TV, especially against this undead team. The undead strategy is, I don't want to say simple, but fairly straightforward, right? They've got those big mummies, punch with the mummies. They've got their standard blitzers, right? They've got the ghouls for speed. The Necro team has a lot of similar players. They've got the ghouls too. They've got the zombies too. But they have the werewolf that is a great piece with an MA of 8, has claw, treats everybody's AV as its 8+, plus frenzy, and it's picked up block in level 2 as well. That means this could be a player that is removing pieces from the pitch. The problem is, on frenzy, this werewolf has to follow up, and if that puts the werewolf in a disadvantageous position, you can bet the opposing team is going to try to beat up that werewolf, take the block, maybe even try to take a foul on the werewolf. That might very well be worth it, especially with the fowler. This Necro team really has to be very careful of these 2 pieces, and that means that their strategy is going to have to be a dance where they're throwing the pieces out there to get good use out of it, especially the werewolf, but still being able to pull that werewolf back to safety, not throwing the ghoul runner out there just to get beaten up as well. The ghoul runner a little bit easier to protect. You can hold them in the back because they don't really have a place on the team where they're trying to be the blitzer or they're trying to throw themselves out there as a lineman per se. The werewolf is going to be very tricky, and I think Old Gamer Mike really needs to leverage this werewolf successfully tonight in order to get the leg up and in order to win the game. But it's one of your 2 ball carriers, so it's going to be very tricky, I think, for the Necro team. I think the undead team, probably the favorite, in my opinion. If I were a betting man, probably the favorite team tonight, just on paper. But of course, that doesn't consider the coaches and how they play. There's a lot of agency in this game, and if a coach gets a good read on an opposing coach, or outplays an opposing coach, it doesn't matter what team you're coaching, you're going to win the game. Goodest boys, Stike back. They win the coin toss, and they're going to choose to be on offense to start. 3 on the line for the defense currently. 3 rerolls for each team in this first half. Tuck the Minotaur says werewolf leg up. That's how they relieve themselves, I think. I learned that in school. Old Gamer Mike says, I have Mighty Blow. You do. Four on the line now for the defense. They have those 2 mummies. Remember, Max with the guard skill will always be giving an assist to Diablo. And that's going to bring Diablo's effective strength up to a 6. right, that's the defense set up. You can see in the secondary, one of the blitzers, both of the ghoul runners. Now, the offense, the Necro team, to set up for their offense. Remember, these Wraiths, they have block, which is great. They have sidestep, which means they don't get pushed back. They get pushed into any adjacent space, and it's going to be Old Gamer Mike that decides where they get pushed. And they have foul appearance. You take a block or a blitz on them, you have to roll a d6 on a 1. You're so disgusted by how they look that you decide you're not going to touch them. You lose your block, or worse, lose your blitz. 5 on the line, 2 wide now. Both Flesh Golems out to the wide. They have that stand firm skill. It's a control skill. That means if they have to get pushed back, they can choose not to be pushed back and stay right where they are. Looks like it's going to be Pug Johnson, the number 7 ghoul runner, back to receive. Pleather, the number 11 zombie, looks to be going up on the line here. 5 on the line, spread very wide here. Big gap here in the center column on the pitch. Deciding not to tangle with the mummies. Does have a mark with nice biscuits. Has to put at least 3 here in these 7 squares. Pulling the werewolf back, getting a little bit of protection on the werewolf here in the halfback position, just in case a die roll goes awry. Here's the kick. No kicker for the defense, so this ball will deviate potentially quite a bit. We're just going to remain the same, and is kicked to the opposing 10-yard line, just off the right wide zone. Turn 1 now for the Goodest boys. They'll be on offense to start this game. Getting an assist on the left side of the line, taking a block die, or taking a block roll first. Gets a push out of this. Taking marks. Got to be careful of leaving this ball exposed to the defense. Takes a mark by Richard Mastiff against the 2 right linebackers here, number 7 and number 6. Number 6, Wraith Raish. We'll take a mark on number 6 as well over in the right wide zone. Repositioning players off to the right a little bit. Ball very exposed right now. There is a little bit of a line here. You can see he's trying to protect, he's trying to cover the ball by moving forward. Now here's the blitz with the werewolf. 2-die blitz, gets the knockdown on Trey Stucker, looking for an 8+. Got the armor break. And there's the removal. Well done. 1-man player advantage for the Goodest boys. Now that werewolf is stuck unless it dodges. It'll be a 3+ dodge away. The werewolf's going to stay right where he is. Here's the ball pickup. Works out on the 3+. We'll advance the ball to the 8-yard line. It may be the end of the turn here. As we talked about in the pregame, Old Gamer Mike does have to be making good use out of this werewolf to try to get that player advantage. First werewolf blitz of the game here did get a KO out of it, so it's a 1-man player advantage for the Necro team. Turn 1 now for as bad as Raiders. Old Gamer Mike setting up a number of defensive men around this werewolf, so it's a little tough to get at this werewolf for the 2-die block. 2-die block on nice biscuits. Gets a knockdown here, looking for an 8+ with Mighty Blow. Doesn't get it. We have 2 other games tonight. After this first game, we will have the Dinner Bell Darlings versus Nerdrum's Nose Count. Duck the Minotaur versus War Horseman. That will be Dwarves versus Norse. And we'll finish up the evening with Philosopher's Song versus Conspicuous Disunion. That's going to be Lizards versus Necro. 2-die blitz here on the number 4 Flesh Golem. Gets a pal, no armor break. Now, what did he pick up in the inducement phase? Picked up 2 coaches indeed. So looking to have the favor of Nuffle on the brilliant coaching kickoff event. Brilliant coaching. If you win that kickoff event, it's a D6 plus your coaches. And if you win the kickoff event, you receive an extra reroll. 2-die block against the werewolf. Got the pal here. Looking for a 9+. Doesn't get it. Werewolf stays on the pitch. Good use of the blitz with the mummy to knock down the Flesh Golem, to pull in for the assist with Dig-a-Hole to get the 2-die block on the werewolf. Secondary moving backwards a little bit. Colton Thriller and Shock Bowers, the Blitzer and the Ghoul Runner, respectively. Electric's Man on the bonus clock here as they take a 1-die block against Flanders. Flanders, formerly of Odin, it's Nuffle, the Norse team, died and was resurrected to play for this Necro team. Turn 2 now for the Goodest boys. Two-die block by the number 6 Wraith. Gets a push out of this. Might not follow up, decides to do so. Now with this forward unit here, the screen all marked. This ball might just shift back to the left. We'll see. 2-die block over in the left wide zone. Gets a push against the number 8 Skelly Man. Skeleton's fairly fragile and 8+, but significantly faster than a zombie. They have MA5 as opposed to MA4. You may say, oh, that's only 1 space. Well, it's 1 space per turn, right? If you, say, plot out their movement 3 turns out, they're 3 extra spaces forward. .30 seconds to go for the Goodest boys, and indeed the ball's going to shift to the left. Now up to the Goodest boys' own 4-yard line. Protected by Merrick, the number 12 zombie, just ahead of the ball carrier, and just to the right, Tessum, the number 5 Wraith. .10 seconds on the clock. If you run out of time in the turn, you have 2 minutes per turn. If you run out of time, you can dip into the bonus clock. You have 7 minutes 30 seconds that you can spend in addition to your 2 minutes per turn. Good 3+ dodge by the werewolf over on the right side. Dodges the werewolf to safety. The werewolf tramples back to his own 8-yard line. Turn 2 now for As Bad as Raiders. Two-die block on Nice Biscuits will be a push. Diablo stays put. With only an MA of 3, it can be very difficult to get these mummies into position if they find themselves out of position. A tactic you'll see against these mummies often. It depends on the team, but often you'll see, okay, well, the mummy wants to go this way. Fine. I'm going to mark him this way. Let him blitz. If he wants the blitz to get away, he's spending 1 MA for the blitz anyway. He's down to 2 movement. Double pushes here on the block against Richard Mastiff, but being a Flesh Golem, has that stand firm skill, elects to stay right where he is. And now a 1-die block on the Flesh Golem. This is a turnover unless the die is spent, but that might be okay for this defense. He's going to spend the reroll. Both down result. We'll see if the trade works out. It kind of does. Gets a stun on the Flesh Golem. Turn 3 back to the Goodest boys. As bad as Raiders down to 1 reroll for the half. 2-die block on the number 7 skeleton over in the right wide zone. Gets knocked down trying to set up for a surf on a future turn. Offense pretty spread out here, a little disparate. Working out so far though. Gets power on the block. Gets the number 11 lineman. Gets nothing out of this. Looks to be moving this ball up to the opposing 8-yard line. Two-die block in the left wide zone. Gets a pow out of this. A scant 8+ will break the armor here of Daniel Carcasson, but doesn't get it. Moves the ball up to the 12-yard line in the left wide zone. Goodest boys seem to want to score early here. See if they get the opportunity. Taking a mark against Shock Bowers, number 3 Guru Runner. Needed to take that mark, because if not, at the very least, that would have been a 1-die block. Probably instead would have been an assist for the Werewolf dodge to the blitz. But that's what this blitz is. Did I say werewolf? I meant the blitzer. But that's what the werewolf is for, and got the removal. Remember, Claw treats everybody's AV as if it's 8+. Good removal here by the Goodest boys. Very well done. 2-man player advantage now. Turn 3 now for the Undead team. As bad as Raiders, they're finding most of their defense shoved off to the right side here. We'll see if they can reform their defense here and try to stop the score, or perhaps more likely would be to try to force the score early so we can get on the board. Minute 10 on the clock. Two-die block against Flanders. Gets a push out of this. The Ghoul Runner on the block. Two Ghoul Runners for this Undead team. Two-die block against Flanders again gets a push. So clearly I play board games. I have a game room every year. I kind of clean out. Like, I try not to have the game spill out of the game room, right? So, like, if there's no room left in the game room, room has to be made. So every year I clean out games that I'm no longer playing or just don't want in my collection. And sometimes it's a hard decision. this year often I'll give them away or I'll throw them away, but I decided this year I'd sell them to a local shop, so somebody else could get some value out of them. There's one shop I love. It's a local shop. It's great. Their offer was terrible. So I was so I collect toys too, and I expect on selling things to a shop, right? Like a retail shop, they have costs that they have to cover, and then they have to make money on top of that. So I expect an offer of around 50% of market value. That's what I'm expecting. If you offer me, if I'm going to sell to a store, and the store offers me 50% of what the market value is, I think that's fair. Of course, if I want 100% of market value, then I need to sell it myself, which I'm not inclined to do. Spends a reroll here, would have been a turnover, gets oh, I was going to say gets a push. No. Gets a casualty out of it. 2 SPP for the Flesh Golem. Very well done. Oh, that was a failed regen too. Boy. Boy. When you have regen, if you eat a casualty, you roll a d6 on a 4+, you don't actually eat that casualty. Your opponent still scores the casualty, but you go back into the reserve box. Another armor break by the werewolf. Great use of the werewolf here by Old Gamer Mike. Gets a stun out of it. Keeping the werewolf on the pitch. Leveraging those claws. Turn 4 now for as bad as Raiders. They're down 3 players. But so I expect an offer of 50%. I did the math on it. I was like, this is a pretty low offer. They offered me 20%. I was like, what? What? So I asked another store if they would like them. So I'm waiting for their offer. But I've sold things to this other store before, and they've been very fair with me. So, I was a little sour about that. I'm like, 20%? Come on. Minute 10 on the clock. But they are a lovely store with lovely people, and I love them. I love them otherwise. Dude, block gets number 4. Gets a push out of this. Number 4, the Flesh Golem here on the right side of the pitch. Ball's going to hang outside the end zone in the left wide zone. Pug Johnson threatening to score. Going to try to stall this out for as long as possible. We actually have a lot of great shops for lack of a better word, a lot of great nerd shops in this area. Very thankful. We have lots of great tabletop gaming shops, toy shop. Oh, failed dodge by Shock Bowers, going after the ball carrier. Had the free reroll with the dodge kill, but failed the dodge roll. Shock Bowers going to remain on the pitch though. Turn 5 for the Goodest boys. We have great tabletop shops, great toy shops, great video game shops. I even discovered we have a Warhammer shop nearby, which we used to have like a Games Workshop warehouse in the area, like when I was a kid, like a big shop, and they used to have like outlets or whatever all over the place, but then they sort of vanished. So I was very surprised to see one. Did I block him? Dig a hole, gets a push here. Yeah, but all of our shops, like I have yet to patronize one of these shops or even enter one of these shops, and they're not just like great. They're just the coolest people, you know, just want to sell cool stuff. So it's great. 40 seconds to go in turn 5. First turn of the second quarter here. Gets a push by the werewolf. Frenzy follow-up into another. Oh, takes the both down. Oh, he has the block skill. I was like, why would he do that? He has the block skill. Another removal by the werewolf. All Gamer Mike doing exactly what he needs to do with this werewolf. We'll see if these KOs stick. That's not the replay. Oh no, an armor break on Max. Gets a stun. Max is going to stay on the pitch. That would have been a big loss for Electric's man. Turn 5 for as bad as Raiders. Got to find a way to move towards this ball, but most of their team picked off at this point. Old Gamer Mike doing a great job positioning players. You can see where everyone is marked. There's really nowhere to go. Most of the team is behind some sort of defender. 2 die block on the werewolf. Only gets a push out of this, deciding whether to spend the final reroll or not to try to get the knockdown. Is going to spend the reroll, but doesn't get the knockdown out of this. So that's the final reroll spent. The werewolf's going to be pushed aside. Going after the high dollar player. Again, that werewolf and the ghoul, this werewolf here and the ghoul here, these are the only effective ball carriers on the team. If you can eliminate one, you put that team at a huge disadvantage. You eliminate both, then you may have just won the game. Good 3+ dodge in the right wide zone, trying to get Sneak, the number 4 ghoul runner, back to safety. Turn 6 now for the Goodest boys. Werewolf blitz again. Gets a dodge push out of this, but a frenzy follow-up coming up. 2-die frenzy follow-up. Gets another push. Has to follow up due to frenzy. Old Gamer Mike doing a real good job of making sure that he's not followed into frenzy traps. And look at the positioning of the defense now. I mean, really just doing a fantastic job putting these pieces where he wants them to be. Yeah, needs to reposition off of the left side here. Push the number 3 ghoul runner into a position where they could have taken a 1-die against the ball carrier. 2-die block against Fran, the number 11 lineman. Gets a push out of this. And now a 2-die over on the right side of the line of scrimmage. Gets a knockdown here. Wraith going to float back to safety. Takes a mark against the ghoul runner. One die block on the mummy. Gets the knockdown out of this. Can he get a 10+ though? No armor break. Turn 6 for the undead team. No rerolls left for the half. Most of this defense is now behind the offense. It's going to be real tough to get at this ball carrier. But that's okay, because they'll be on offense in the second half of this game coming up shortly. down 4 players. Each one of these KO rolls at the beginning of every drive, you roll a D6 and a 4+. You roll 1 for every KO'd player. And uphill block into double skulls. Doesn't matter if it's uphill or not. Sam Corkington says, "Get out of my face." That's a turnover. Turn 7 coming up for the Goodest boys. For each KO player, you roll a D6 and a 4+. They'll recover from their KO. Would have been a null turn if not for the reroll spent here. Gets a push. So the undead team quote unquote are going to be due 1.5 players returning to the pitch, but they'll get a turn 8, so they're actually going to get 2 rerolls out of it. Deny blitz by the werewolf. Gets a knockdown thanks to the block skill. Another armor break. Gets a stun out of it. Yeah, so he'll get 2 rerolls out of this because there'll be a turn 8. That'll be the start. Let's say the Goodest boys score on turn 8. That means that the undead team, as bad as Raiders, still have their turn 8. They'll get a KO roll on that beginning of that drive. And then the half will end. At the beginning of the second half, they'll get another KO roll. So at a 4+, if they're due, quote unquote, 1.5 recoveries on turn 8, then instead of turn 8 on turn 9, they're quote unquote due 2.25, right? So they're the odds are they'll get back 2 players. Turn 7 now for as bad as Raiders. Die block on Tibia. Gets a POW out of this. 8+ breaks armor with Mighty Blow. Looking for a removal, looking for some Kaz SPP, and a removal would be great to try to even out the pitch. Doesn't get it. Signor Sloop, welcome to the stream. Signor Sloop says, "You're telling Nuffle what is due?" I'm not. I'm sorry, I'm not. Nope. You're right, I'm not. Nuffle does as Nuffle pleases, and I'm okay with that. Failed dodge over in the right wide zone. Couldn't get away from Raish. Turn 8 for the Goodest boys. With 1 reroll left, will they take some blocks? Or will they just score? Your contrition is inspiring. It's just a realization of the truth. 3 assists on Max. Blitz with the werewolf. 8+ will break armor. Only gets a push. Will the reroll be spent? It is not. Frenzy follow-up. Onto a skull. It'll be spent here. Gets a push. Wow. Scary, scary, scary. There's the score. Well done by Old Gamer Mike. The Goodest boys, Stike back, will take the lead. 1-0 in this game. Signor Sloop says, "I don't use that word in the sentence much." Yeah, there's the 1 KO. 1 KO return. So now after this half, he'll be, by the grace of Nuffle, we'll get back 1 more KO, but maybe 2. Necro team to set up their defense here. They've got all 11 on the pitch. It'll be 12, 11, 10, 9, 9. So Two-man player advantage for the Goodest boys here. One turn left. They're just going to put everyone back by the end zone, playing a couple of players forward here. In fact, playing everyone forward a little bit. Maybe fearful of the timeout. Now the offense to set up their formation here. They'll have just one turn. I don't see a way for them to score unless there's a timeout. If there's a timeout, they can't score, so they'll probably put a ghoul on the line of scrimmage here, and that's Shock Bowers, just in case Snuffle is kind. The Raiders have no rerolls left, though. Down 2 players. I wonder if we'll see any use out of number 7 as a fouler. Almost certainly if it's going to be against the Wolf or the Ghoul, I would imagine. Lisalot Sneak, the number 4 Ghoul runner, back to receive. Here's the kick. Where does it go? Shallow kick. Brilliant coaching. Despite the 2 assistant coaches in the inducement phase, the Goodest boys are going to get a reroll. It's not going to matter. Ball scatters off the pitch, so it's going to be a touchback. I don't think there's anything they can do here. They're going to put it in the hands of Shock Bowers. Shock Bowers will probably pass for some SVP at some point. First up, looks to be a 2-die block. Ooh, takes it without the block skill first. Gets a push out of it. Took it with the mummy. Had a 2-die block here on the right side with the block skill. That would have been safer. With the mummy, I meant with the blitzer. The white blitzer. Here's the 2-die block on the right side. Gets a knockdown here. Looking for a 9+. Doesn't get it. Final block looks to be with the mummy Max in the center position. The 2-die block only gets a push out of it. Now the blitz by whomever, really. Maybe Bait Hobbs? Oh, didn't follow up with the pushback, so doesn't have the 2-die blitz against number 13. Still has a block by number 12. Going to take the blitz on number 12. Gets a pal. Looking for the 2 SPP on Bait Hobbs. A 9+ is the armor break he's looking for. Doesn't get it. So we'll probably see a pass here in the final seconds of the first half. Unless Electric's man is going to risk a foul here. Yeah, here's the pass. Go for the quick pass. Well done to get the 1 SPP on Shock Bowers. And that'll be the half. 1-0. The Goodest boys in the lead. They'll be on defense to start the second half here. Oh no, Nuffle gives no one back to the Raiders. So the Raiders are going to continue to be at a 2-man player disadvantage. Coming up at 8:30, just about 23 minutes from now, we have the second game of our triple header this evening. It's going to be the Dinner Bell Darlings versus Nerdstrom's Nose Count. Doug, the Minotaur versus War Horseman. That will be Dwarves versus Norse. That'll be a fun one. I mean, these are all fun. Electric fan says, I am powerless against Snuffle. Yeah, well, here's a secret. Here's the trick. We all are. You must put your faith in Nuffle and not try to exert power over him. For Nuffle is good. Or not. It's up to Nuffle. Six on the line for the Raiders. 3 on the defense. The defense spreading out to screen out this undead offense. Of course, that Werewolf and the Ghoul Runner. Pug Johnson and Sam Corgerton in the secondary as safeties. The 2 Wraiths, the cornerbacks on the roster. It's actually in the rulebook. See, in the rulebook, it's kind of like a DM in Dungeons and Dragons. Like, you know, behind the DM screen, I can fudge anything I want. Nuffle has a DM screen. So if you don't play by Nuffle's rules, he's going to fudge the dice against you. Here's the kick. 4 players get to reposition here on the defense for unmarked players. Roll a 1 on the D3, plus 3, that equals 4. I had to do a thing at work today. I won't get into the details, but can I just tell you, the zip file format is the stupidest thing. It is so old and janky and full of exceptions. I hate it. I hate it so much. Ball kick to the right, wide zone on the 14 yard line. On the right sideline, rather. Raiders pulling some players back to try to protect this ball before rolling some dice. Pulls back number 7, Aiden Ono, the Skelly Man. 2-die block at center. Gets double pals out of his 8+ to break armor on Tibia. Doesn't get the armor break. Gets a pal against Nice Biscuits. This too an 8+. Nor break again. One-die block on the right side of the defensive line. Olin, the number 14 zombie, is going to be pushed straight back by Trey Stucker, the number 6 blitzer. One more potential block on the line, but I don't see how it's going to work out. So it might just remain as a mark against the flesh golem here on the right side of the defensive line. Ten seconds on the clock for the Raiders. Rush is into position to try to protect against this Wraith sneaking toward this ball. The Wraith can't pick the ball up. Could certainly scatter it out of bounds, but can also mark the ball. Good 3+ pickup here by the Ghoul Runner. Roll to 6. Nat 6 always succeeds in this game. Moves the ball off the sideline. Now on the 12. Turn 9 for the Goodest boys. They're in the lead right now. The very solid offense in the first half of the game. Now they're going to have to show what they can do on defense. They're by no means out of the woods here. Trying to mark out number 12, Jacoby Deers. But marks him on the corner. Could just take a 50-50 dodge. Two-die block against Bait Hobbs. Gets the knockdown here by Tosa Smith. No armor break. Old Gamer Mike seems to really understand his team and where the value lies in the team. This is something that I don't know if Old Gamer Mike's new to the game or not, but definitely new to the league. And something new coaches often have to learn in this game is not all of your positionals are equal, right? With very few exceptional teams. But yeah, if you have a very important piece, right, you have to ask yourself, why is it very important? Why is it valued so high? Whether that's financially in gold, like you think to yourself from a game design perspective, if this costs a lot of money, why? Right? Maybe the answer is it's over or under costed, but generally the answer is it's providing some sort of very important value to your team. Push on the frenzy follow up here, gets another push. Gonna try to set up a surf, I think. And so Old Gamer Mike really identifying the value in these pieces. These werewolf, again, making very good use of this werewolf. The value is in Frenzy and Claw. AV8, rolling 4 dice, is very, very powerful. The Ghoul, of course, with the dodge skill, and MA7, very, very fast piece, able to get to where it needs to go, and keeping those players safe. We talked about how he needed to keep them safe in the pregame, and he's done just that. He's done a very good job with this Necro team. The Undead team here, taking the blocks. Electric Man's taking the blocks he needs to take, just not getting the armor breaks. And unfortunately, that werewolf is running away with the armor breaks. It's tough. The werewolf, again, is treating everybody like an 8+. Starting to turn with some blocks by the Mummies. Had to spend a team reroll to keep the drive alive. Two-die block without the block skill is a lot scarier than it seems. Offense is going to advance that ball forward to the 2-yard line and park it right between the two Mummies. Interesting to see if Electric Man tries to dodge out front. Not looking to succeed the dodge. It'll be a very not a likely dodge, but just to keep him on the pitch, or if he's okay with tying up one of these two pieces here, and maybe even incentivizing the werewolf to take the block on the lineman, so that the werewolf doesn't come trampling back to the left. A mark taken against Pug Johnson. Takes the uphill block on the werewolf. Takes the uphill block. Looks like it's going to be a both down result. We'll see if this trade works out. No, it's not, because he has the block skill. Turn 10 for the Goodest boys. So instead of dodging away, trying to take the uphill, I think that's fine. Now the werewolf takes the block on number 7, but no armor break here. Claw not in effect on the skeletons because they're already at an AV of 8+. Double pals against the number 10 lineman, Bait Hobbs. foul by Raish is going to move forward and knock down Jacoby Deers. Has to re-roll this against a white Blitzer. Blitzers have the block skills, generally speaking. Gets a pal this time. Moves the Wraith for a 2-die block against the number 4 Ghoul Runner. Gets a dodge push out of this. Dodge allows you to stay on your feet on a Defender Stumbles result. Also gives you a free reroll on a dodge, on a failed dodge. Turn 11, back to the Raiders. The Raiders still need to open a hole in this defense. Defense starting to suffocate the offense, not giving them a whole lot of options to move. The offense spread wide. I think with the sort of the bash advantage, I think I might have actually say I don't know, maybe caged up this. And here's your ball carrier, right? And then I could use these mummies grouped up and just start like beating up on players, or whatever direction I want to go. Slowly, just grinding down the defense, moving this cage forward, and staying at center pitch here to give me options on movement. Now, Electric Man is remaining at center pitch, has lots of movement options. The problem is, by spreading the offense really wide, this defense was allowed to kind of leverage their control skills a little bit, right? With the Flesh Golems, with the Werewolf, who has Frenzy. Frenzy's a great tool. We've talked about getting lots of dice to get knockdowns, and certainly Old Gamer Mike's been doing that. Frenzy is also a great tool for pushing players out of position. You get 2 blocks out of that, and if you could shove somebody 2 spaces away from where they want to be, you've probably done a really good thing, or a really annoying thing to your opponent. Because especially if it was a pivotal piece that's sort of holding down the fort. Blitz on the left side of this protective unit gets a knockdown against the Flesh Golem. Five seconds to go. Are we going to see a dodge by the ball carrier, in which, or is the ball carrier going to stay with the mummies? As bad as Raiders back on the bonus clock. It's plenty of time on the bonus clock. The ball's going to stay right with the mummies. So the ball remains on the 2-yard line, shifts 1 space to the left. Three plus dodge with a reroll. Could have got the ball this way. Electric Man probably afraid of an early score, giving the opponent ample opportunity to win the game 2-1. Turn 11 now for the Goodest boys. Both teams with 2 rerolls remaining for the game. Now the defense shifting to the left here to cover that gap. Two-die block in the right wide zone. This will be a push by the Werewolf. Frenzy follow-up into 2 dice. Another push. Pushes Aiden Nono into at least another block. Two-die block. This will be a knockdown. Thanks to the block skill. There's the Kaz. Very well done. Very well done. opportunity to take out that fragile skeleton, and did so. Indeed, it's another regen fail. Spire says regen's a fake skill. Did I block on Troy Stucker gets a knockdown here. Continuing to close in on the offensive formation. Turn 12 for as bad as Raiders. Pug Johnson moving back into the safety position just in case the ball carrier breaks away. Blitz, this will open up a lane. Got the POW out of this. An 8+ will break armor. An armor break would be pretty big, I think. Got the armor break. Gets a stun out of it. Doesn't follow up. Has one more, or did follow up rather. Has one more point of movement here with the mummy. Good stun here. The reason why this armor break's big is because now this lineman will not be tying up this mummy this next turn. Just heard slack go off. I'm afraid to read it. Ball advances well down, pitch down to the opposing 14-yard line, just outside the left wide zone. Trying to cover the ball carrier, takes a mark on Pug Johnson. Couldn't see a way to keep this ball safe for another turn. Decides to shoot the ball down pitch. I think that's totally reasonable. Seconds to go here. The Raiders trying to figure out what they need to do with their few remaining actions to try to keep this ball carrier safe. They're going to take a 2-die block against the Flesh Golem. Got a POW here. Imagine they'll follow up. Well, would follow up if stand firm wasn't a thing. One die block against Tessum gets a push out of this. Boy, I gotta tell you, the Slack notification noise like makes me anxious. All right, are we gonna see a blitz on the ball carrier by the Wraith? Will it be a 2-die blitz? We'll see. Gets a push out of this. We'll push forward back here. This is going to free up the... Pushes back. Pushes back. Oh, I see. I see. He wants the assist with number 9 as an easier... Who's going to blitz? Is it going to be Pug Johnson? It's got to be now, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Could have worked. Might be Pug Johnson on the blitz, but Pug's got to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Rush, rush. Or actually 1, 2. Might be able to go down. Good removal here. Good removal. Another removal for the Goodest boys. 5 removals to their credit now. 4-man player advantage. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, I think it's 2 rushes either way. Unless he dodges. Two-die blitz on number 4. Looking to remove the ghoul runner here. only gets a dodge push out of it. Is he going to spend a reroll? He's not. This frees up Pug Johnson to take a mark on the ball carrier. So no blitz on the ball carrier. Turn 13 for the Raiders. Boy, we'll see what they decide to do. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. A dodge and a rush would score. Fourth and final quarter of this game begins right now. Do the Raiders think they can fend off the defense for another turn? Or are they going to try to score and fend off the defense, and fend off the offense of this undead team? There's the dodge. One rush will do it. There it is. Well done. 1-1 the score. Electrics Man ties up this ball game. I don't think they had a better option than that, but now they're going to have to defend against the offense to try to draw this game. All 3 KOs come back for the Raiders. Praise Nuffle. So I think that's going to be a one-man player advantage for the Necro team. Yeah, let's see. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And that's everyone. So one-man player advantage for the Goodest boys going into what may very well be the final drive of the game. 1-1 ball game, each team with 2 rerolls. I think the Raiders did a really good job there. They were under pressure early. They spread out a little too wide, I think. Sometimes you want to spread wide. I think maybe they didn't want to spread wide in their offense, but Electrics Man did a real good job of sort of identifying the pressure and regrouping, and then being able to score to get on the board here. Now they're going to have to defend for a quarter. Three on the defensive line. Now the Goodest boys to set up their offense. Four on the line. Spread wide once again, not trying to tango with the mummies. Nice Biscuits is marked by the number 2 mummy. Pug Johnson back to receive this ball. The werewolf in the halfback position. Here's the kick. Coming up in just about 30 minutes, we're going to have the second game of our triple header this evening. It's going to be the Dinner Bell Darlings versus Nerdtrum's Nose Count. Doug the Minotaur versus War Horseman. It's Dwarves versus Norse. Doug the Minotaur, brilliant coaching. Did he get it this time? Yes! The coaches, in effect, the Raiders get their extra reroll. They're up to 3. Doug the Minotaur, the Season 3 champion. We're seeing the same offense here by Old Gamer Mike, continuing to take marks, trying to pick players out off of the defense here. Takes a mark on these 2 wide players, the 2 blitzers. These are the only 2 pieces with the block skill on the defense. So good job by the offense here identifying these problem pieces and just trying to keep them marked and keep them out of the drive. Here's the blitz on that left blitzer. Got a POW out of this, looking for an 8+. He's got the 8+. Gets a stun. It's a very good stun because this blitzer now will be out on turn 14. On turn 15, we'll only have 3 MA. And even then, looks to be out of the drive, being pushed push to this left side. So that 3MA might not be enough movement to get back into the drive on turn 16. So that white may be out effectively for the rest of the game. I looked in Slack. I had to reply. Turn 14 for the Raiders. A minute 7 left in the clock as I'm doing work on the side. Electrics man needs to stop the score to have this game end in a draw. Even better if they can recover the ball and score on their own, they could win. But boy, what a tricky dance it's going to be. The ball, the offense on the 4-yard line, just off the left, on the offense's own 4-yard line, just off the left sideline. 2-die block now on the left guard. Gets a knockdown out of this, looking for an 8+. R.I.P. Rest in not pieces for regen activated. Got the 2 SPP for the murder, but it wasn't a murder. You can't kill what's already dead. RIP, rest in place because you're going nowhere. On the bonus clock here for as bad as Raiders. They're going to take a 1-die on the werewolf. They've got to be very careful of this werewolf. The werewolves remain standing. And remember, that Werewolf of Frenzy can open up holes very easily. Still have the number 4 Ghoul Runner in the secondary. Need to have somebody back there as a safety just in case the ball carrier gets free. 1-die block against the number 6 Wraith over in the right wide zone. Gets a knockdown here. Doesn't follow up. The Wraith is going to sidestep back a space. And now a 2-die against Richard Mastiff gets the knockdown. Turn 14 for the Goodest boys. They have 3 turns left in this game. They're looking to win this one. They have the ball on their own 4-yard line. Taking marks, tying up players. 2-die block on Dig a Hole, gets a knockdown. Dig a Hole is the zombie that randomed into strip ball. Two-die on Fran, gets a pow. Wait, he's undead. Why is there blood? Another removal here by the Goodest boys. Every removal counts. They're going to try to secure the left wide zone. Werewolf on the blitz against Shock Bowers, more than likely. Here it is. 2-die blitz. Got the pow. 8+ breaks armor. No armor break. Follows up with the werewolf. Has plenty of movement left. can mark the Ghoul Runner, and indeed does so. Very well done here by Old Gamer Mike. And now the ball advances to the opposing 12-yard line, covered by Pleather the Zombie, and Sam Corrigan the Werewolf. Turn 15 for his Bad as Raiders. Pivotal turn here. Penultimate turn. They've got to stop the score right here and now. Electrics Man carefully considering the options here, trying to stop this score. Probably going to dedicate everyone to playing for the draw. Yes, indeed. Good dodge by Shock Powers to take a mark on the ball carrier. Has a mark on the ball carrier, but no assist yet. Has the blitzer to stand up. Here's the blitz. One die blitz. Gets a push. Might re-roll this. Or might take the push. We'll see. Uses the re-roll. It's going to be a dodge push. Decides to follow up. So the ball carrier is still marked. Both these players can be removed. The number 3 Ghoul Runner and the blitzer here could both be removed to free up the ball carrier. Raiders back on the bonus clock. 3 minutes 50 seconds to go. Plus dodge by the right side blitzer, Trey Stucker, trying to get back into this drive, trying to cover as much of the pitch as possible in case the Ghoul Runner gets away. But does that mean that this number 4 Ghoul Runner is going to stay put? It is. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Potentially one rush to score. We'll see. 2-die block over on the right side of the line. Gets a foul. Gets an armor break. 2 SPP out of this. Well done. Boy, Regen, where are you? Is that how it works? Like if you're killed by another undead team, if you're killed by a team that's already dead, you don't regen? Does regen somehow suck the life out of the opposing team? 2-die block against Digglehole, gets a pal. Goodest boys have an opportunity to clear this ball. There's the assist. 2-die block against Shock Bowers. Gets a push out of this. He's looking for a little more than the push. Now the 1-die up against the White Blitzers. A both standing result. Perhaps the worst result for the Goodest boys. I imagine they're going to re-roll this. Oh, no! Nuffle! Rolls into a skull. Turn 16 for the Raiders. The Raiders with another opportunity here. Possibly the worst result. Rolls into a skull. Okay. Point taken. Possibly the worst result. The die just explodes into a million pieces. One die block against Pleather. Got a POW out of this. A mark taken on the ball carrier now by number 4. Lisa Lot Sneak. 2 die block on the ball carrier. This is a dodge push currently. A reroll is going to be spent. That's a POW. Well done by the Raiders. I think that's going to do it. Well, I think that's going to do it. Where's that werewolf? Where's that werewolf? Oh, the werewolf's prone. So I don't think there's any other way to get into the end zone here for the Necro team. Good stun here by the Raiders. As a final reroll here to spend. Looking for some SPP. I just take the push. No! Going for the trade, but doesn't work. Turn 16 for the Goodest boys. I don't think they have any option other than... Can anybody... No. Nope. That's going to be it. No pass in sight. Nobody can pass except for those 2 players. The Wraiths, of course, don't have hands to carry the ball. So this is going to end 1-1. Very well done by both coaches there. Great offense by Old Gamer Mike in the first half of the game. Great defense as well. And Electrics Man able to take the offense, was under a bit of pressure there at the beginning of the drive in the second half here, and was able to recognize that and play against that to get on the board. Had to score a little earlier than they would have liked, but was able to stop the score here in this final drive. This will end as a 1-1 draw game. Looking for some SPP here. The werewolf on the blitz gets the knockdown. No armor break. I think that's everyone, yeah? There it is. 1-1 the final. Well played by both coaches. A lot of fun. That was an interesting matchup. I didn't know how that was going to go. And I think both coaches played that very well. So with that, both coaches pick up their first draw in this competition. There's still plenty of weeks left to play. 9 weeks in regulation before the cut to top 8. And this is just the first competition of the season. So lots and lots of more games to play for both coaches. And I'm sure we'll see a lot more great games out of these 2 coaches. Coming up next, we have, let's see. It's going to be the Dinner Bell Darlings versus Nerdstrom's Nose Count Duck, the Minotaur versus War Horseman. That's going to be Dwarves versus Norse. Let's say we'll just set up the 5-minute countdown, and then we'll get right into this second game. It's scheduled to start at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is about 13 minutes from now. So yeah, we'll just put up a 5-minute countdown, grab a drink, and we'll get the second game underway in just a few minutes. See you back here and then.